ostriches, the llamas?
Yes, comrade.
Including the Przewalski's horses?
Including the horses.
For goodness sake, why?
To stop them from falling into enemy hands, of course. There's enough meat walking around this reserve to feed a small army. Deer, goats, bison, horses, chickens, they're all to be shot. I'd help you myself, but, I've some important orders of my own. I'm urgently required in Kharkov, so I have to leave today, now, as soon as I've finished talking to you.
But I couldn't kill our animals, comrade, said Max. Some of them are very rare. So rare, their species might even become extinct. Not only that, but some of them are my friends.
Sentimental nonsense. We're fighting a war, do you understand? And our people are the ones who are facing extinction. The Germans mean to take our land and destroy all of us, so that they can live on it. So, if I come back and find that you haven't carried out my orders, I'll call the secret police and have you shot. You've got a rifle. Now use it.
Very well, said Max, although obviously he had no intention of killing any of the animals. Besides, he rather doubted that Boris Demyanovich Krajnik was coming back any time soon. I don't like it, but I'll do as you say, comrade.
I don't like it any more than you, Maxim Borisovich, but this is a patriotic war we're fighting. We're fighting for our very survival. It's the Germans or us. From what I hear, they've already done some terrible things in Poland. So you would do well to be afraid of them.
And with those words, Krajnik drove away, as quickly as he could. Max went outside the house and walked back to his simple cottage on the edge of the steppe. The reserve, of which he now had full charge, was a hidden, enchanted place that consisted of a zoological park and an open territory of steppe covering more than 300 square kilometres. A wild, desolate-looking region, it is mostly open grassland and largely treeless except for pockets of dense forest growing near rivers and lakes. The steppe is famous for being as bare as the palm of a man's hand, where there abides but rain and cold in winter and baking sun in summer, but in truth, the weather is more unpredictable than that. Max did not think he would miss Krajnik very much. One of the reasons the old man was so fond of the reserve was that people like Krajnik were seldom encountered. There were just 6 small villages in the reserve, and the nearest city, Mykolaiv, was more than 3 hours' drive away. Max thought that was just as well, since the whole idea of a nature reserve is to provide a sanctuary from men where animals can exist without being put to work or hunted for food. In spite of what Krajnik had said about the Germans, the old man had high hopes of them being a real improvement on the Ukrainian Soviet government, and he did not think this hope was unreasonable. For one thing, it was a German, not a Ukrainian or a Russian, who had loved animals enough to create the sanctuary at Askania Nova. That same German, the Baron Faltzfein, had been the only man ever to show Max any real kindness. Everything he remembered about the Germans at Askania Nova persuaded Max that if they did turn up and try to kill the animals, he could reason with them. After all, he could speak German, although it had been many years since he'd needed to. And so the first thing he did when Krajnik departed from Askania Nova was not to shoot any of the animals, but to return to his cottage and look for the German dictionary and grammar book that the Baron had given him on his birthday more than 40 years ago. And since he had only one small bookshelf with the Bible, a long poem called Eugene Onegin, and the game of chess by Saveli Tartakova, Max quickly found these books and started to reacquaint himself with the complexities of the German language. It was another 2 weeks before the German SS arrived in trucks and on motorbikes and took over the main house. They seemed to be in a very good mood and behaved with courtesy when Max presented himself to some of the guards and asked to see the officer in charge. Despite the pirate skull and crossbones on their hats and helmets, they weren't at all frightening to Max. They ushered him into the Baron's old study, where he snatched off his cap and introduced himself to a Captain Grenzmann. With his German improving all the time.